Hey everybody, this is Toby Northen YouTube channel. What we're going to do today is I'm going to go over how you put up your motorcycle on a lift. Not the big giant lift, but a simple lift. That's 1,500 pound lift that you got to push up with your hand, or excuse me, pump up with your foot. So we've already got the jack here. It's not, I'm sure everybody has done most of you have done some version of a lift before or used your bike on a lift before, but this is more, the point of this is more so to show confidence in the lift versus the motorcycle weight and the movement of the motorcycle during the lifting and the maneuvering and all that kind of stuff. So let's get to it. Roll that intro. So what we're doing here, y'all, is I'm down here with the jack next to me, or the lift next to me, forgive me, and I'm going to show you the placement and all that kind of stuff. Now, the caveat here is every single bike is going to be different as far as weight distribution and how you put the lift underneath the bike frame. So here we go. What we're using is a Road Glide 16 CVO Ultra. So we have a tour pack, but we don't have it on today. That really isn't going to matter in the overall extent of things. It just matters how you place your lift. So what I typically do is you have the two parts here, the two pads, and this is where you're going to put your frame of either side on here. So the key on it is matching up the front, matching these pads up along the front or along the two bottom pieces or two bottom frame parts. So what I typically do is I use back here as a guide. I use this ending point here. There we go. So you can see the joint. See that as a guide where I start this. What I typically do is I will put this pad there and kind of work it in from there. So again, this really depends upon your bike and where along the frame you're going to put it. So as I said, here we go. As you can see where the thing is, the frame, and it's going to rub. What you're going to do, some people have to do, is you have to lift your bike up a little bit and then put it in from there. Now you're not going to need to lift it much. What the hell's getting in the way? All right, so one other caveat, everybody. Before you do this, especially if you have a wife or somebody with a bike also, that was just taken off of the lift, make sure that the pads are flush, all the way flat down. You got to push this lever to let the air out so that the pads lower down. That's why it was giving me so much resistance. So again, we have it part way under. But again, it doesn't really matter where you're putting it as long as you're looking for equal displacement of weight. And equal displacement of weight depends upon the size of the bike. Now again, like I said, the key on this is not so much doing the lifting and lifting the thing up on the lift and raising it and everything. The key is you, as the operator, learning to trust the lift so that it doesn't, knowing and confidence that it's not going to tip over, it's not going to fall, any of that. Now, if you get on the thing and ride it like a Brahma bull, yes, it will fall over. But this thing is designed to be able to withstand some decent amount of rocking a little bit for like wrenching and working on the bike, doing oil changes and things. So, we'll get there. But what I typically do is you also want to walk around after you put it in. You kind of want to make sure you can see it I still think I need to go a little bit further under. But remember, it's going to flatten out on your pads. So, and then all you got to do, guys, once you pump it, once you get it set, is start pumping away. As you can see, the weight comes off the front wheel and it can frame sweetly. Now, from this point, it is totally your decision on how high you want it to come up. Now, Grant, remember, just like physics or whatever else you want to use, when you raise something up higher, it's like having a very high vehicle, right? When you have a tall vehicle, that makes the center of gravity higher, which makes that vehicle easier to tip over. So if you raise this thing up very high, you increase the risk. Doesn't mean it's going to, but you increase the risk of it tipping one way or the other if you rock it too much. But for the purposes of, let's just say you want to put on, you're taking your bags off. Let's just say you're going to take your bags off and you're changing out pipes. But you want to make sure that your pipes are flush and all that kind of stuff when you're changing them out, putting slip-ons on or something. Or you're just trying to make sure you want to change oil or something. You're going to have to use some serious wrenching power to do something. There's nothing wrong with keeping the wheels and everything flush on the ground and just having this thing be there to hold your bike up level. That is another option. So anyway, the point is, as you can see, we have this thing pretty, maybe an inch or so, depending upon the wheels, inch or so off the ground, maybe a little bit more, a little less. But you really don't need much. So the next thing I'm going to have you do is watch as we the bike. The entire reason for this. So you probably can't hear me as well, but all you're doing, I'm raising this up a little more. And of course the safety factor, you want to make sure everything's clear from the area that you're going to be swinging it, which for us the most part it is. And of course the other part that determines is how rusty your wheels are, or if there's rocks or brush or whatever. But as you can see already, this thing can be rocked pretty well. It ain't going anywhere. So you can wrench on this pretty solidly, especially if it's already flat to the ground. It ain't going anywhere. We will stop it from rocking. And now we're going to turn it. And you can see these lifts. My wife and I are going to get a second one. But these lifts are awesome. They are so handy. You see how easy that was. And like I said, it's very easy. You can crank on it, you can work on it, you can engine it. Especially if you put especially if you keep the lift low. I've got it, as we showed you, an inch maybe off the ground. So even if with the tire hitting, the tire's bouncing off the surface, this lift ain't going anywhere. It's not going to fall off. It's not going to tip either way. It's very, very sturdy. I could get on this bike confidently if I wanted to. I'm going to lower this to where it's basically resting on the wheels, but the lift has it up to take the weight off per se. This is just a matter of hitting the air release. And both tires are almost entirely on the ground. So like I said, now both tires are almost entirely on the ground, but it's upright and straight forward. So this will give you help if you're not wrenching, like if you're not draining the oil or draining the transmission or something, you don't need it up high. If you just need it to work on something up top on the bike, taking a seat off, getting the tank off, that kind of stuff, and you just want it upright and straight on, this is a great way to do it. Again, it won't fall off. It's very, very sturdy. So, but that's basically it. And the other reason a lot of people use a lift for is to get their tires up off the ground if they're winterizing. They plug in the battery tender, and they will raise this up, and this keeps the weight off of your tires so they don't get set in a particular position. That's how you always hear people say during the wintertime, if you're not riding your bike for an extended period of time, you want to make sure you're rolling your bike around, shifting it in position so that it doesn't get flattened on one particular part of the tire. But that's all I was going to talk about. I just wanted to show how very easy this could be done with the lift. Again, this was not to show you how to do the lift. That was a part of it, but because many of you probably already have done it, as we said a second ago. The main point I wanted to show out here and emphasize was the stability of this lift, how good it is, and a user's ability to work on the bike, heavy wrenching, whether you're trying to break a bolt that's just stuck, or if you're thinking you're going to take off exhaust, if you're going to take off handlebars. When I did my project and I messed up my handlebar piece before I took it to the dealership, that's another story. I had this thing up just like this, and I had the clamps off, the riser off. I had the bars out entirely, and there were some cases where I had to do some pretty tough wrenching. This is perfect for that. It keeps it upright, and it keeps it solid. But hey guys, that's all I have for this video. If you have any comments or questions, please put the remarks in the comments below, and see you next time.